Back to our
Back to the program.
Okay, we're back. So let us now proceed to our last portion, which is evaluation. Let me call on Mr. Jude Ola, our general evaluator for the day. PM Jude.
Hello, good afternoon. Can everyone hear me already? Okay. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. Good afternoon, guests. So this is the learning part of our Toastmasters meeting, the evaluation portion, wherein we evaluate the speeches that has been delivered. However, as the general evaluator, I will not be the one who will be evaluating those speeches. Within a competent team of evaluators who will be the one to have the task of evaluating each speech that has been delivered today, including our table topics. And of course, after that, we have the functionaries who will check on the grammar, timer, as well as the counter. Now, we'd like to kick off with our table topics evaluation. So for that, I'd like to call on Toastmaster Porsh Maliksi. TM Porsh.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Hi, thank you for that introduction, General Evaluator DTM Jude. Since we have guests, I'd like to point out that as an evaluator, this is the best part of every time we have a Toastmasters meeting, the evaluation part, because this is how we learn and grow as members of Toastmasters. We don't just get to practice and talk in front of everyone. We also get evaluations out of the speech we have given. So today, my job is to evaluate the table topics section. This is important because the benefit of the table topics is we get to speak on the spot, impromptu, with no rehearsals, nothing prepared, and speak off the cuff. So for the first speaker, President Christina, your quote was, "A pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty." President Christina, I noticed that you are participating more and more in our table topics sessions. And I can see how much you've improved, especially your enunciation and flow. You took us through your story and gave us insight into your struggle as a business owner. And it's very important to learn and have an insight into what happens in a business owner's life during this COVID situation. And your speech was clear. It had an opening, a body, and a closing. To take your table topic speech to the next level, I recommend that you step a little bit far away from the camera so we can see how your gestures better and your smile a lot better. And I appreciate your share about the difficulties, finding the opportunity in these COVID times as a time to develop your product line as a story related to the quote that our table topics master mentioned about that. And there is the light at the end of the tunnel is that you're getting more and more comfortable talking on the table topics as taking table topics as an opportunity to grow. Congratulations, President Christina. So the next table topics speaker is TM Pam. Your question was, your quote was, "There's no feeling more intense than starting over." So TM Pam, thank you for volunteering today. I see you're taking more of an active role in our table topic sessions, even when you have a prepared speech in the program. I commend you for relating to the previous speaker. It can be difficult to have a prepared speech scheduled and to be present at the moment and listen and participate in table topics altogether. I love your choice of words and how descriptive they can be, like the deepest recesses of your mind, and when you gather all your resources, think and plan again starting from scratch. the force within you in life, you will only continue moving, reaching out and moving forward. To take your speech to the next level, I would love to see your smile and your energy as what the content of your speech is relaying to us. And I would like to see more and hear from you more in your next topics and speeches. And I'd like to point out that when we finish a speech, since we are sharing, it's our thoughts are being shared for the people, for the audience to hear and learn from. So I would suggest that we don't use the word "that is all" at the end or "thank you." Perhaps you can just point to your the Toastmaster of the day and or the table topics master and back to you to better improve our speech. And the next speaker, TTM Jude, I believe your quote was the art. Let me just get back. Yeah. To fight and conquer in all our battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence is to subdue your enemy without fighting, by Sun Tzu. I always look forward to your speech, TTM Jude. The energy every time you take the screen is much like COVID. It is contagious. You restated the quote and gave us your view in your role of leadership. You illustrated the leadership skills that was needed for you to be able to subdue the enemy without fighting. It's getting people together and rally them and turn them into an ally. I love that about this, and turning them to an ally is a greatest show of force, as you said. To take your speech to the next level, I would just like to have a better, perhaps more lighting. That is all I could say. It's a little dark, and I couldn't see more of your face and the way you talk. But your energy is really contagious, and it gives our afternoon that burst of energy we need to get through. Thank you and congratulations, TTM Jude. So our next speaker is our guest and my cousin Jonas. So your quote is, "Adversity introduces a man to himself." I love how you relayed. You took a moment. I can see how you organized and took a moment to gather your thoughts and have a really nice way of expressing the quote and turning it into a speech. Like Pat said, we can see you as like a natural speaker. I noticed that you put side by side the described pain and extreme and fulfillment as a way to illustrate what adversity does to a person. So I like your stories about yourself, your exercise regimen, and how you're trying to improve and putting yourself out of your comfort zone. And you ended that with, you never know that you're capable, and adversity is really what we want to be able to grow. Thank you, Jonas, for that wonderful and speech. And I guess it's nice to see you talking and engaging more with people here. It would be a great honor for us to have you and join us in our Toastmasters and go through this journey with us. Congratulations, guest cousin Jed, for this amazing speech that you shared with us. And the next speaker is another relative, my mother, TM Lilia. Your quote is, perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did, which is so perfect for you because You're our mom, and it takes a lot of work to be a parent to all four of us who are um, unique, who have unique personalities. So I like how it started, and you mentioned that you never give up, and the meaning of life to do the best we can, and at the end of the day, you realize that you've done it. So I like also that you use the word of the day. For you to take your speech to the next level, I would like to see you take a moment and really absorb the quote and organize your thoughts in a way. So a good way to do that is to actually volunteer, as what President Christina has been doing. She's volunteering to raise her hand and be part of the table topics, to be accustomed to the pressure of that moment, or getting that question and speaking right off the cuff. So uh, to take your to the next level, you can perhaps use the process more intentionally, and wrapping up, going back to the first topic in mind. And I suggest we use the table topics patterns that we have: the point, reason, example, point, the past, present, future, and the story, message, gain, to help us, to guide us through our speeches. So I appreciate what you are doing, taking it on, and I would like to see more of your speech on our table topics. Thank you, TM Lilia. Congratulations for the next step. So did I get them all? One, yes. So as for the table topics master, I I commend you for the effort you've put in. That fun wheel that we've seen is a really creative way of picking topics and having like our heartbeats move faster as the wheel turns. So that's a good way. You described your duty as a table topics master, but that you facilitated, how you facilitate it, the formats, and the good selection of quotes that you have for us ready for us today. And of course the time, how the use of our time when we participate in table topics is a good way. And your first time as table topics is really a good start to take on this role, and to take it further. As we have guests in our audience, it's nice to maybe give us, and for the benefit of the guests, for you to highlight the benefits that table topics provides, with and this being the most exciting part, and really putting us out of our comfort zone. Table topics speech, I think the table topics takes us to a higher level of learning when there's pressure. So overall, you did a great job. I would like to see more of you facilitating table topics, and that the creative way you injected into performing your table topics duties. Congratulations. And back to you, General Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Porsh. Can you see me now? Apologies. I positioned myself incorrectly in the past. In my previous position, it's quite hard to get the lighting from the window. Anyway, thank you, Toastmaster Porsh, for listening intently to all of our exciting table topic speakers this afternoon. I like how you were able to motivate each of the speaker. I like your line, to take your speech to the next level. So that for me is a very powerful phrase to encourage all of us that participated in the table topic session. Indeed, you also pointed out their key points and the technicality of how they delivered their speeches. And also, thank you for congratulating them to be brave and for stepping forward, especially for Press Christina and for PM Pamela, even our guests. And also, it's nice that you were also able to really be very supportive with all of those evaluations. Indeed, you really listened well and intently to all of those speeches that you were able to give that excellent evaluation. Now, allow me to copy you. To take your evaluation to the next level, you may want to point out the speech patterns that our our speakers tried to use. Let's say, I think most of them tried to use the prep pattern because that's usually quite the easiest way whenever giving an opinion, since the questions are mostly in the form of quotations. So they usually just stated their position regarding the quote and then try to put the reason and example. Although for the speakers, if you are going to try to use the preposition, please remember to go back to the last P, P-R-E-P, position, reason, example, and then try to restate your initial position. Now for your evaluation of our topics master. Okay, so congratulations, topics master Carlo. I was compelled to volunteer because you had very interesting quotations for this afternoon. Unfortunately, I think I got the most difficult part. It was quite hard to relate the Sancho's quote, but for me, it's very timely. All of those quotes are very exciting, and that was well pointed out by your evaluator, Toastmaster Porsh. Also, I'd like to I also agree with Toastmaster Porsh when you use the real type. That's very innovative. That's very exciting for us to have this session this afternoon. Now, a suggestion, Toastmaster Porsh, in your next evaluation, you also might want to encourage our topics master to, after putting out the patterns like prep, SMG, to maybe try to give a short example for those patterns. Overall, good job to all our speakers. Good job to our topics master this afternoon. Thank you, Toastmaster Carlo, for those interesting quotes. And of course, thank you, Toastmaster Porsh, for that motivating, encouraging, and well thought of evaluation this afternoon. Now, moving forward, let's go to our prepared speeches this afternoon. So we have 5 amazing speeches. And let's kick off with our first speech. Wow, an icebreaker for Toastmaster Bennett Santos. Toastmaster Bennett, the icebreaker from, I think this is for the path of presentation mastery. Title is Too Many to Mention to be Evaluated by DTM Les Aquino. DTM Les, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And good afternoon, Ben. I'm amazed and I'm a bit confused that this is your first icebreaker. Is that correct? Is this your first?
It is my first icebreaker.
The
Correct.
reason I'm a bit confused, Toastmaster Ben, because you've been with us for quite a while. And I've seen you speak and take on different roles already. So I thought that you had your icebreaker a while ago already. So to hear you deliver your icebreaker now is, well, it's amazing. But let me tell you a few things on organization, the content, not so much on the delivery, but on the organization, and this is your strength. What you excelled in is coming up with a strong introduction, because I thought the way you presented your hobby, which is reading, your passion for reading, I thought it was a clever mechanism for you to use a slum book as a jumping off point. The reason is because the slum book in school is where we see plenty of information about us, right? It's where we see profile of classmates and so on and so forth. And so I thought that was really clever for you to present a part of you, which is the hobby of reading coming off from the slum book as the introduction. I also like how you made mention about you looking for the hobbies of other classmates so that you will know who will be your allies who share the same interests as you do. So I thought you excelled in that as far as your organization is concerned. I also like your voice. I like your how articulate you are and how the diction. I particularly like your diction. Some things that you can work on. I thought that some parts of the speech you could speak a little slower, especially the last part, because the last part was a quote that you made mention about reading, and I'm sure it was something that's very, very important. Unfortunately, I missed it. I miss it because I say I miss it because I thought it was very important, but you were speaking a little too quick. I have to be a little more conscious of the time. But here's the tip: when going to the conclusion, my suggestion is to be slower than usual because that is the part of the speech that you usually would want to emphasize. That is the part of the speech that you'd like your audience to have the key takeaway from the speech. Moving forward, in speeches like this, in icebreakers, you say something about yourself, and you were able to do that effectively. One thing that I was also looking for was towards the end of the speech, you mentioned you liked reading, and you mentioned in the past that you like Nancy Drew novels and those kind of topics that typically young girls love. But nowadays, I would have liked to know what ticks you, what makes you tick nowadays. What is it? What are the kind of reading materials do you like nowadays? Like for me, well, I like to read about exercise, fitness, and diet, and things like this. I also blog about these things and things that would help me with my illnesses, with whatever ails me. So I'd like to read up on those things because this is something that talks about you. Probably towards the end, you tell us what kind of books that you'd like to read nowadays. So it's no longer the status quo that you had before, right, when you were much younger. So that's probably one thing that you can add on, especially for an icebreaker, is the here and now. Try to focus on that. All right. Overall, I thought that was a very excellent icebreaker coming from you, Toastmasters. A round of
Thank
applause for
you.
Toastmasters, then Sam. Back to
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Sir Les. So that's a very encouraging and motivating evaluation, especially uh, our icebreaker speaker this afternoon. Indeed, all of those uh, all of those ingredients made way for a very powerful icebreaker speech. I think when I was a table topics evaluator back then, and you answered a table topics TM Bennett, I have also commented on your one of your strengths. I think is really your voice. You have a very nice speaking voice, and you have a good command of grammar and diction. And I think you made great use of that in your speech today. So also, Sir Les pointed out key suggestions on how to really take your speech to the next level by pacing a bit in your conclusion part. Um, Other than that, I cannot any more add to how the evaluation could go through. I just like to encourage you, Tim Bennett, to uh, go on with your Toastmaster journey. Yes, icebreaker was a bit took quite some time, but I'm sure you'll get the hang of it as you move along and deliver your next speech project. So congratulations, Tim Bennett, and thank you, DTM Les, for that very motivating and very detailed value. Moving forward to our next speaker, um, for the speech I can and I will, so to evaluate Toastmaster Patricia Maliksi, I'd like to call on AD Ching Bognot. Ma'am Ching.
TM Pam, you did it. You were authentic, comfortable. Your facial expression and hand gestures were purposeful. Your message was strengthened further when you employed storytelling. How do you take your speech a notch higher? These are a few of my suggestions. Let your emotions come out. And in the process, and most of the time, inevitably, tears will flow. Let it flow. And I suggest that when it does, do not apologize. Why? Because you want to send across the message that you want to send across with that emotion. In the absence of your words, your tears will speak for your story. Don't apologize. I encourage you to feel it. And aside from that, I have no other area of improvement based on that speech. Overall, if there was a trophy this afternoon, TM Pam, I will award you for touching us with your story and your call to action. Today, I can and I will. I have full faith that you're going to sustain and lead BF community higher to the new normal. I know that you will, and I know that you can. Go forward, TM Pam, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Ma'am. Yes, indeed. That was a heartfelt speech that we delivered today this afternoon.
Must be TM Pat.
So, indeed, um, the evaluation was spot on. It was really well organized, and that the suggestion is for you to just brave on with your speech. No need to apologize because indeed we are really the one benefiting from you sharing your story with us. So excellent evaluation as usual, Ma'am Ching, and thank you for encouraging our speaker to really push on with her speech and for commending the strong points of the speech project that she delivered this afternoon. Now, moving forward to our next speaker. Okay, dual work for our Toastmaster of the day, TMGG, with her speech Words for Life. And I'd like to call on her evaluator, DTM Ed Ramirez. Sir Ed.
Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. I'm really happy to be your evaluator today, Toastmaster GG. So how did you perform today? I noticed there's a big improvement in your performance today. Okay, here's what I thought about your presentation. You know, at this early stage, I noticed how well you handled your storytelling. It's really effective way to engage your audience. Now, I also noticed that you took time to share a passage from this popular poem, and then you incorporated that in your speech. Okay, as you were sharing your personal story again in your speech, I thought it was part 2 of your icebreaker. You revealed more about yourself. It's interesting. Okay, well organized speech. Okay, and you really took the time to craft this material today. Good job. Okay, now here are my recommendations for you if you would consider. First, I would suggest that perhaps you may want to incorporate the use of gestures in your presentation. Okay, because actually gestures, they really help emphasize different points of your speech. Okay. Now, I might be wrong because I noticed that you're close to the camera. You may have been having gestures, but these couldn't be seen. Either way, maybe you could also push back the camera a bit forward so that these gestures can be more visible. And also your movements, upper body movements, can be revealed to the audience even more. You know, a little thing like moving your shoulders, moving your head a bit, moving your hands, playing around with these four corners. This is a skill that you may want to explore developing. Okay, now I also noticed that from time to time you would read, okay? I know that you're familiar with the topic, so maybe you may want to omit reading the material, but overall, you did a good job. You are very much improving. I bet everybody here would agree and everybody here notice. So ladies and gentlemen of the audience, please join me in congratulating our speaker, Toastmaster Gigi.
My privilege, Sir Ed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Ed, for that very animated and very motivational evaluation. Indeed, thank you for pointing out the gestures. So for our speakers, of course, it is quite challenging for us to speak and use gestures with the limited screen that we have. However, as limited as it may be, yes, indeed, I'd like to echo the call of Sir Ed to just maybe push back your device so that you have some sort of space for you to be able to do your respective gestures. That will enable your speech to become more powerful. Thank you, Sir Ed, for pointing out the improvement of our speaker, because as we improve and our improvement gets recognized, we tend to be more motivated and more challenged to tackle the different speech projects that are still in our way as we go about our respective pathways. Okay, moving forward to our next speaker. Okay. Oh, our next speaker, Toastmaster Pampataxila, with her Lost in Translation speech. I'd like to call back PTM Ed Ramirez. Sir Ed.
Okay. Well, again, we've seen you deliver another speech, Toastmaster Pam. You know, it's very rare for us to hear your speech. You should deliver more speeches, huh? Okay, there's really a big improvement in the way you delivered your presentation. I noticed you start with dialogue. That's a nice way to open a speech, right? Dialogue, conversation. Because, you know, ladies and gentlemen, it is a higher level of skill to use conversation to unfold the story, to reveal aspects of your presentation. And Toastmaster Pam, you did that very well. Great. I also noticed that you used visual aids, colorful visual aids, and that really added to the variety of your presentation. You also demonstrated your storytelling skills, of course, to engage the audience. And I noticed that you didn't just tell, no, but you asked questions in order to engage the audience. This is a really very effective skill in communicating, right? Okay. And then you ended your presentation with a quote. Wow, I think it's a complete speech, just like a Big Mac, you've got the vegetables, you've got the burgers, you've got everything already there. Good, complete burger, right? Okay, now, what are some ways to improve your burger? Well, perhaps you could again also incorporate gestures because, as they say, sometimes what you do with your hands, they actually add to your story. Okay, another thing is that I recommend that you look more into the camera. Okay, I noticed that you're looking to the side, perhaps you're reading. Okay, just look into the camera, right? Now, it takes habit, right? Like right now, I'm trying to look in the camera, there's nobody there, just that, right? Okay. And also, again, I noticed that when you deliver your speech, here's how close you are to the camera. Okay, hi everybody, I'm here. Okay, now notice that it's just a talking head, right? If you pull back a little, right, or push back the computer, you can actually engage even more because when you're at a certain distance, you can actually come close, you can move back, you can move your hands, you can move, you're free to move more, right? This is something that you may want to consider in your presentation. But overall, wow, you did a good job. This speech project is really, honestly, if you read the project, it's kind of boring, but you made it interesting for us, right? You didn't just give us a lecture on the four communicating stuff, but you made it exciting, right? Congratulations. Good job. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our speaker a big round of applause.
Thank you po.
Thank you very much again, DTM Ed, for that very inspiring and energetic evaluation. And also, thank you for the tip on being too near the camera. Yes, indeed. The
Choppy.
the video quality is also easier to control. You don't have to pull back too far if you're using a cell phone. However, with a laptop, actually, I'm so far from me so that I can project my at least half of my body so that I can really move my arms well. So, uh, Sir Ed, really thank you for stating the very, I think the most important part there is that how EMPAM masterfully transformed an otherwise technical and maybe a bit boring project into something exciting. And thanks for pointing out her closing part, which is sort of a call to action when she ended up with the quote, which is each more powerful. So again, thank you for delivering that excellent speech, Pam, and for delivering that very precise and motivating evaluation, DTMN. Now we move on to our last speaker, of our last speaker for today, for the speech of Toastmaster Ching. I'd like to call back DTM Les Aquino. Sir Les.
Thank you, Toastmaster and General Evaluator Jude. Toastmaster Ching. All right. On matters that were you held, I particularly like the first part where you gave a mechanism for us to understand what not to do, what not, the way not, the way not to tell a story. And you came up with a clip, an audio clip that you played for us. And I really appreciate that because I'm aware of that. I've heard of that clip in the social media before. This is one way of highlighting really what you want to present by showing what not to present, showing what to do by telling us what not to do in the first place. So I thought that was clever also by showing to us that clip on how not to make a storytelling way. Now, I like the elaborate manner by which you presented the topic itself of the anatomy of storytelling. There was a lot of content there, and I will get to that in a moment. And the topic is actually preparing to be a professional speaker, right? And this comes from in the old legacy manuals. This is the professional speakers manual, which I also like, by the way. Now you may want to work on the delivery. Many speakers today, the evaluators, talked about moving a little bit away from the camera, and I tend to agree to that. And just a reference, I'm away from the camera, and I'll measure for you by way of a meter tape, and I'm around a meter away from the camera. So this shows my shoulders and my arms. I could gesture. Because remember, when you are a professional speaker, there is a challenge. And the challenge is to be able to engage the audience for a longer amount of time. There is a reason why this particular speech is 18 to 22 minutes long. Because professional speakers would typically speak for an hour or more. And that is why it is so very important to have the audience with you throughout the entire speech as much as you can. This particular speech calls it to be humorous, which you had some humorous point in it, to become informational, and this certainly was an informational speech. But at the same time, it should also be engaging. And I think that is where we could improve on. Engaging by way of gestures. There's really nothing much we can do by way of movement, but there's also one thing that we could add on to it, and that's eye contact. I noticed that sometimes, well, many of the times you were looking at maybe they were your materials, but like Toastmaster Ed mentioned, just keeping your eyes close to the camera most of the time would give the audience the impression that you're always with them throughout the entire speech. Again, the challenge here is to have an engagement with the audience. And you can do many other things also, like asking questions. You might have some in the audience to answer your questions, even for a brief moment, by unmuting their microphone. You could prepare this in advance so you can have people actually replying to your questions, whether rhetorical or not. Now, challenge yourself for future talks or speeches as far as professional speaking is concerned. I mentioned before that when I hear stories, the lesser number of characters, the easier they are to follow. When you have 3 characters, the story is easy to follow. When you have 3, 4, 5 characters, it becomes more complicated. Now imagine if you have more stories to add on. Sometimes you lose part of your audience if they have to follow several stories in your talk. My suggestion is to have one central theme throughout your entire speech. One central theme, and then try to dissect that story so that you're able to elaborate and explain and illustrate the components that you wish to present. Those components that would expand to me of storytelling. One central theme, because by doing that, the audience will be able to stick to the entire story because it has only one theme. All right, so that's my suggestion for talks or for long speeches such as these, to have one central theme so that it's much easier to understand. Overall, I thought the content was there. And there was a lot that we So congratulations, and I heard you before, and that were related to professional speaking, and this is something that you probably will be doing more in the future in your career and in your corporate life. So it's always good to have a practice, and be always able to engage your audience so that you don't lose them, especially for talks like this. So congratulations, Toastmaster Ching, and we'll hear you again in the next week. Back to you, Gerald Valley.
Thank you very much, Sir Les, for that very detailed evaluation. Um, to all of our attendees this afternoon, including our guests. So I'd like to point out that it's really an honor, a privilege, a treat to listen to our seasoned evaluators, Sir Ed, Sir Les, Ma'am Ching, because they are really spot on whenever they give their evaluation. Sir Les, I was trying to measure my distance as well using my very short hands. Thank you for using a meter to really give us the idea of the distance that we have from the screen. Because for those of you who have seen me personally, if I would tell you that I am about 1 or 2 arm lengths away from my computer, you would say that, but Jude has very short arms, right? So it will not be a very good way to measure my distance from the screen. Thank you, sir, for pointing out the importance of building characters, and it's how more characters tend to complicate the story even more, and the challenge of not just saying a story but a series of stories, and the suggestion to put in one central theme to really tie all of those stories together. So overall, great speeches from our icebreaker. Thank you for the blast from the past of I remember T.M. Bennett, my time when I was also reading Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys, her detective adventures. The very touching speech of Toastmaster Pat. TMGG, thank you for reminding me about this Desiderata. You know, back in college, I used to recite that while doing push-ups or doing pull-ups because we really do that in our ROTC days. TM Pam, I'd like to re-echo the comment of Sir Ed, how you masterfully transitioned a technical speech into a very interesting speech. And Toastmaster Ching, thank you for really taking us this afternoon into what I think it's sort of a really a professional presentation on how to do storytelling properly. And again, thanks to our very able evaluators for pointing out all of those good points and motivating us to move forward with our speeches, as well as giving us suggestions on how to improve our speech projects, moving into our different paths that we are taking in Toastmasters. However, that's not all, because aside from the evaluation of our speakers, we also have our other functionaries to evaluate the different aspects of our project, such as grammar, our ask, and our timer. So moving forward for our grammarian, and I'm quite envious that it seems that he was able to really get a nice haircut. I'd like to call on Toastmaster Renzo de Dios. PM Renzo for the grammar report.
Thank you, TM Jude. I got my haircut from my brother, so my brother did this for me. So as your grammarian, I would first like to commend those who used our word of the day. Thank you, TM Carlo, TM Lilia, and TM Ven for using our word of the day. And for the improper grammatical uses, I think our speakers did very well today. I wasn't able to catch any germs from our speakers. And lastly, it is also my duty to list some quotes, thoughts, words, or sayings that I liked. So first is, I noticed Miss Ven used the word illustrious. So I am not familiar with that word. And I researched about it. It means well known or respected. And for the few quotes from our speaker speeches, from TM Christina, there is always light at the end of the tunnel. And from TM Pam, keep going and adapt to our new normal. And from TM Jonas, adversity is our friend if we choose to respond to it positively. And lastly, words are how we think, stories are how we link, from TM Ching's speech. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you, TM Renzo, for that excellent grammar report and for capturing those inspiring bits from our speakers today. Now, how did we do with our pause fillers? So I'd like to call on our counter Toastmaster, Lilia Maliksi.
Yes, good afternoon. We have, here are the list of the victims of us. I noticed that the impromptu side of the program gets the most us and the duration. Number one, this is according to their appearances. TM Renzo got 5 us. TM Carlo, 7 us. Christina Young, Noah Pampataksil, Noah Jude Ola on the W topics has 1 A. Jonas, our guest, has 5 As. Yours truly, I had 2 As. For the prepared speeches, Vinette had 1. Pat Maliksi had 2. TM Gigi had 1. Pam Pataksil had none. Edith Ching had none. General Evaluator, Jude Ola had 31. TM Porsh had 11 As. DTM Les, Noah, Edith Ching, Noah, DTF Ed, Noah, and that's all. DTM Les had no As. And I noticed due to the duration and impromptu of evaluation of general evaluator, Mr. Jude Ola had 31 As. So next time, be mindful of the As. I don't like to hear it. Thank you very much.
Grabe siya.
Grabe siya.
Thank you, TM Lilia. Thanks for pointing out all of those ahs, ums, and pause fillers, and for really listening intently to all of those things. Now, how well did we do with our time? So let's call on Toastmaster Pat Maliksi. Take it away.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. See, I was managing so much that I forgot what time it is. But time is important. So, for our time, we started at 2:02 And for the table topics, I would like to congratulate the soul within time, which is TM-PAM. All others are overtime. I think it's because everyone is enjoying their time at the screen because of the lockdown, and so that's okay. So to be more aware of it, the time for TM Press Christina is 3 minutes and 29 seconds. As for TM Jude, you had 2 minutes and 41 seconds. For TM Pam, 2 minutes and 21, which had a 30-second wrap up. TM Jude, oh sorry, to our guests, Jonas, who participated, you're a bit over time, but that's okay considering it's your first speech. So still congratulations, you had 2 minutes and 38 seconds. For TM Lilia, you're over time, so 2 minutes and 57 seconds. As for the prepared speeches, I would like to congratulate everyone for their prepared speeches. Everyone was within time except for one who was a bit under time. So for Venet, you were given 46 minutes. You had 5 minutes and 49 seconds. For me, I was timed by President Christina, so that was at 6 minutes and 45 seconds. For TMGG, you were a bit under time at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. You were given 5 to 7 minutes for your speech. For TM Pam, you were at a bit over time, 7 minutes and 26 seconds. As for AD Ching, her project was timed at, has a time of 18 minutes to 22 minutes. So you were timed at 19 minutes and 20 seconds. So it was within time. As for the evaluation, EM Porsh overall took 12 minutes and 16 seconds. So I think a bit over time given 2 minutes for each to evaluate. So including the table topics master, it should be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, you're within time because it's 12 minutes, 16 seconds. So sorry, you were within time. For the prepared speeches evaluation, everyone is a bit over time, except for TM Ching, she was within time at exactly 2 minutes. For DTM Les, you were at 3 minutes and 22 seconds. DTM Ed, for both, the other one is 3 minutes and 14 seconds. And DTM Les, DTM Ed, 3 minutes and 37 seconds for your evaluation for PAM. So for the evaluation, you are given 2 to 3 minutes. Oh, sorry, you were within time on one, except for the other one. ETM less, I'm not sure how many minutes you're given for the evaluation of ADG's project, but you were timed at 6 minutes and 15 seconds. For our grammarian's report, it took you 1 minute and 36 seconds, so it's within time. And for this afternoon, I think it shows how we enjoyed this meeting so much. And the time to monitor the time here for our first time guests, it's because of joining contests in the future. They are very strict with time, so we have to be aware of how many minutes you are spending for each speech, because it's essential for when you're competing outside of the organization. So we're trying to practice being within time and of course expecting the time of the meeting. We had a break at 3:34 and now it's 4:46. We're expected to wrap up at 4:35. So a bit over time, but that's okay because we're enjoying each other's company. So I would like to give you a quote for today. It's that the most precious gift you can give someone is the gift of your time and attention. And so I would like to thank everyone for giving the speakers your time and attention. Coming from a speaker. Thank you so much. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Pat. Now, thank you for for injecting a bit of a speech for your timers report. So, indeed, for all of our technical evaluators, whether you're going to be a grammarian, the accounter, or the timer, we'd like to encourage you to try to make it a little bit of a short, small speech to deliver your respective reports. So also, thank you for pointing out the role of the timer and how important it is. So aside from, for the benefit of our guests, aside from the contest, which you may be, you are, no, sorry, you will be disqualified if you are overtime or under time. Also in our daily lives, whenever we, well, whether we are on a meeting with our colleagues in the office, so it's important for us to stay within time. That's why we are practicing it in Toastmasters. That's also that sorry that also goes for our grammar and our accounter. You know, it is kind of challenge for us to avoid pause fillers or to maintain an impeccable grammar whenever we are speaking. That's why here at Toastmasters we try to point out those those areas for improvement. We may not be able to get all of those pause fillers out of the way, but being aware of those things helps us to improve as we go along with our journey. So again, public speaking is not an inborn skill. We are not good public speakers at the start. So let's strive for progress and not for perfection. Also, public speaking is it's a perishable skill. So if we do not practice it, we may lose it. So we just like to encourage everyone, including our guests, if you would like to join BF Community Toastmasters to really practice public speaking as we move together and as we progress together in our respective Toastmasters journey. So thank you again to all our evaluators. Thank you to our speakers. Back to you, Toastmaster Gigi, our team. Oh, sorry. Before I yield the floor to TMGG, I'd also need to evaluate our TM of the day. I almost forgot. Okay, so TM of the day, thank you for being a very friendly host. You made our all attendees feel at ease with your, I think it's a natural friendly presence that you vibe out to all of us. And thank you for handling the program really well. My suggestion, probably moving forward in the next time that you or maybe anybody would be doing the role of the Toastmaster of the day. So for the part, especially for the prepared speeches, maybe we can try the SOTEN approach. That's SOTEN whenever we introduce the speaker. So S is speech project, O is the objectives of the speech, T is the title, E is the evaluator, and N is the name of the speaker. So because we usually say the name last because whenever we call out to the speaker, that's when the clapping usually starts. So let's remember it's the SOTEN approach. Also, you may want to try to transition between speakers. Being the overall host of our proceeding this afternoon, you may want to try to maybe pick up a little bit from the preceding speaker, and then before you transition on the next speaker, so that you can keep the energy alive. Overall, a great way of handling the meeting this afternoon. And again, thank you for that. I think that natural vibe of friendliness that has put at ease this afternoon. So again, I think our timer pointed it that we started out on time, and with 5 speakers, I think we are, the overtime should, I think, is forgivable or is manageable, because imagine we have 5 prepared speeches this afternoon. So with that, I'll turn you over back to our team of the day, Toastmaster Gigi.